All right, so number one, misconceptions. A misconception in science is when a student thinks one thing about something that's preconceived. So they think something works a certain way, but then you, the teacher, comes in and gets rid of that misconception and explain to them why they were wrong, and then give them the resources and things to explain what's actually correct, or what's actually real in the world. So an example of this would be younger students, if you ask them do you think a tree is a living thing? And a lot of them would say no, because they're like, well, it doesn't do anything, it just sits there. Okay, well, think about this. And then you ask them questions like this, and it's like, well, think about this. Do trees grow? Yes. Do trees reproduce? Yes. So that means that it's living. Or you could ask them, do trees need water to live? Do trees need sunlight to live? So they need these certain factors to live. So I like that example a lot. And then another example is the paper clips. So the water's filled to the brim, and looking at it, you would think that if you put a paper clip in there, that it would just overfill and not be able to hold them, but in reality, it can hold way more than you think. So misconceptions are very important to science, because that is where you get that beneficial struggle. And students are gonna be so much more engaged and have so much better learning, especially if you're building off that prior knowledge. So they have this prior knowledge of thinking that something works in this one way, but then you come back and you're like, oh no, actually it's this way, and here are the reasons why. So yeah. In my future classroom, so definitely that beneficial struggle, and also creating opportunities for students to fail. So so I want to create opportunities for them to get things wrong, so then I can help them work through it and persevere and show them what's actually true in the world. So on to standards. So progression of standards means through the NGSS that all the standards are going to work off of each other. So first grade, second grade, third grade. In first grade, you're going to learn, the basics of a certain a certain subject. And then second grade, so then when they go to second grade, they have this prior knowledge, and then in second grade you can go even further, and so on. Or first, second, third grade was a bad example. Elementary school, middle school, and high school, that's better. And does it ask for an example? So an example would be, it's pretty much just the standards building off of each other, and this helps the students, because then each year you can build off that prior knowledge, which we all know helps them learn better. And it's also the fact that you, as the teacher, you need to know, say I'm the second grade teacher, you need to know what they learned in first grade and what they're going to need to know in third grade, and you need to know what you're responsible for teaching them and for them to understand and get. So I kind of talked about that for number 6. Build off prior knowledge. Yep, you need to know what they learned in elementary school and what they're going to need to know in high school. Yep. Setting them up for the next grade. All right. So on to number 7. One might see. So we're talking about the 5E lesson plan now. So all the parts, engage your student, get them to want to learn about it, get the hook, get them to want to know like what we're about to learn, which I can bring misconceptions into this, because if they have this preconceived notion and then you're like, oh wait, there's this, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I want to know the answer. Like, I want to know why I was wrong, because like this doesn't make sense to me or something. So like you want them, engage them, you want them to like want to know what we're about to do. Engage, explore. So this is where the productive struggle and draw out of misconceptions. This is where they get to have fun. This is when there's no direct instruction. They're exploring with whatever the lesson is, trying to figure out things on their own instead of like just being told. Then the explain phase, direct instruction, definitions, so like whatever they just learned in that explore phase, you are like, what's the word? You're like solidifying that, what they just learned, and like making sure they learned what they learned like in the explore phase. And then like revealing the answers to them or discussing what they just did. And then we have elaborate. So you're just extending that, relating it to real life. So it's like, why do I need to know this? Well, you need to know it for this reason, because this happens in everyday life. Like, now you know a tree is a living thing, and that if you go and grow a tree in your backyard, you need to you can't put it right next up to the house where it doesn't get sunlight, and you need to like make sure you're watering it every day, things like that. And then evaluate, so checking for understanding, so an assessment, journaling, making sure that they got what you wanted them to get. On to 8, 9, 10. So engineering design practice. So pretty much asking them like real world problems that are solvable, and relating it to real life. So they actually know why they're learning it and why it's important, because it can help them later on in their life, and they need to like be knowledgeable about these things. Then we have, which assignment did you feel was the most helpful and impactful? Oh my gosh, no, we have to go back to 8 because I didn't explain the 4 things. Imagine, brainstorming ideas, plan, pick best solution and steps to get there, create, hands-on, and follow through with your solution, and then improve. So evaluate what you did, go back, make adjustments. This is where the most learning happens, because you can learn from your mistakes, that beneficial failure. This is the process because it helps you learn best. So learning from your mistakes is going to help you learn best than just like coming up with ideas and brainstorming, because that's like the very first thing that you would do. How do you learn from that? Number 9, which assignment did you feel was the most helpful or impactful, and why? Probably I really liked when the lady came. I'm sorry, I don't know what the name of it was. When the lady came and we did all those activities, and we got to like hit our cookie and figure out oil. That was such a misconception, because I thought that I thought I had a good plan. I was like, oh, this isn't gonna hurt the environment. And then I did it and I was like, oh crap. And then I was like, this actually happens in real life. Like, dang, we need to teach our kids about this. 10, which assignment do you feel was not helpful or impactful enough for me to repeat in the future semesters, and why? I feel like I really can't think of any, but I can tell you another one that I really liked is I liked doing the facilitations and seeing other people's like lesson plans, and it was really cool to see what they were like actually doing in their classroom. And I think ours was cool to share too, because we did something different in the classroom compared to what we did in the first grade classroom to our like facilitation. And then it was just cool to hear what they did in their classrooms, like what they did around Halloween time. Like, it's just like cool ideas to get for my future classroom and things that I can use as a teacher, and it was just good resources, and I think I learned a lot from it. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Alberto.